You, the chosen one, have stepped into a version of yourself that feels different, more powerful, more certain. There is a fire within you now, one that cannot be ignored. It radiates from you in ways that shift the energy around you, in ways that make others take notice without even realizing why. This is not arrogance. This is not mere self-assurance. This is the awakening of a deep, undeniable confidence that flows from within, fueled by the surge of raw sexual energy that now courses through you like an unstoppable current. This energy is not just about attraction. It is something far greater. It is a force that aligns you with your highest potential, a power that demands to be recognized. You walk differently now, not because you are trying to be seen, but because your energy refuses to be hidden. Your posture has changed, your movements have purpose, your eyes hold a weight that was not there before. You do not need to speak for people to feel your presence. You do not need to prove anything. Your existence alone is proof that something powerful is happening within you, and the world is responding. People notice, even if they do not fully understand what they are witnessing. They sense that something about you is different, that you carry yourself with an authority that cannot be faked. Women feel it before they even see you, drawn toward the energy that flows effortlessly from your being. Men recognize it, sometimes with admiration, sometimes with unease, because your presence now challenges the unspoken order they have grown comfortable with. But this is not about them. This is about you. This is about who you are becoming. You are no longer just existing. You are no longer simply moving through life without intention. You are embodying the full power of who you were meant to be. Every step you take now is backed by an unseen force, an energy that does not waver, does not hesitate, does not second-guess itself. This is confidence in its purest form. It is not built on ego. It is not dependent on validation. It is not something that can be given or taken away by others. It is something you own, something you control, something that now defines every interaction, every moment, every decision you make. This is your awakening, and it is only the beginning. You, the chosen one, now carry yourself with a presence that cannot be ignored. There is no longer hesitation in your steps, no uncertainty in your voice, no doubt in your actions. You do not just walk, you move with purpose. You do not just exist, you command attention without even trying. This is not the result of forced effort. This is the natural outcome of the energy you have cultivated within yourself, of the power you have chosen to harness rather than waste. People can sense the shift in you. They feel the depth of your presence, the quiet authority in your demeanor. It is not about being the loudest in the room or demanding attention through words. It is about the silent confidence that speaks for itself. You do not seek validation because you no longer need it. You do not chase approval because you already know your worth. And that is what makes you so magnetic. Your energy now moves through spaces before you do, announcing you without a single word being spoken. You are no longer overlooked, no longer just another face in the crowd. Your confidence does not just come from how you carry yourself. It comes from a deep, unshakable knowing that you are exactly where you need to be, that you are becoming exactly who you were meant to become. Women notice it immediately. They feel the shift in the air when you are near. They may not be able to define it, but they sense it, drawn to the effortless way you move, to the way you seem completely unfazed by the need for external validation. You do not need to chase, because your presence alone pulls them in without effort. Men, too, recognize it. Some respect it, seeing in you something they themselves desire to cultivate. Others are unsettled by it, unsure why your confidence does not waver, why your swagger does not need to be performed, why you do not seek approval the way they have been conditioned to. But it does not matter how they react, because their response does not change the reality of what you have become. This swagger, this effortless movement, this quiet authority, it is not something that can be copied. It is not something that can be learned through mimicry or borrowed from others. It is the direct result of your energy reaching its highest form, of your internal mastery manifesting in external reality. This is what separates you now. You are no longer moved by small things. You are no longer thrown off course by distractions. You are no longer seeking something that you have already found within yourself. And because of that, you walk through the world untouched, unbothered, and undeniably powerful. You, the chosen one, have stepped into a reality where your presence alone shifts the energy of any space you enter. You no longer have to announce yourself, no longer need to prove yourself, because your energy has already spoken before you even arrive. This is the natural outcome of the power within you, the fire that now burns so brightly that others feel it without needing an explanation. Your movements are deliberate, your demeanor is effortless, your confidence is undeniable. It is not forced, it is not something you try to project, it is something that simply is. People feel it, even if they do not understand it. They sense it in the way you carry yourself, in the way you speak with certainty, in the way you no longer move like a man who is looking for direction, but like one who has already arrived. Women notice it first. They feel the shift in their own energy when they are near you, the way their curiosity is sparked without you doing anything at all. They are used to men who seek their approval, who adjust themselves in hopes of gaining attention, who fumble for the right words in an attempt to impress. But you, the chosen one, do none of that. You do not seek, you attract. You do not ask, you decide. You do not perform, you simply exist in your full power, and that alone is enough. Men, too, recognize this shift. Some admire it, seeing in you something they themselves aspire to cultivate. They observe the way you move, the way others respond to you, the way you navigate life without the weight of insecurity dragging you down. Others, however, are unsettled by it. They feel the difference between their energy and yours, and rather than seeking to elevate themselves, they search for ways to rationalize your transformation. They tell themselves it is luck, that it is temporary, that it is something external rather than internal. But the truth remains. This energy, this confidence, this newfound power is not something that can be borrowed or faked. It is not something that can be copied by those who have not done the inner work. It is something that you have earned, something that is now an unshakable part of your being. And because of that, no amount of doubt, no amount of envy, no amount of external resistance can take it from you. You are no longer just a man walking through life. You are a presence, a force that is felt long after you have left. You, the chosen one, have now built a foundation that cannot be broken. This energy, this confidence, this silent command of the world around you, it is no longer something that fluctuates with the circumstances of the day. It is not something that can be taken from you because it is no longer based on external validation. It is rooted in something far deeper, something immovable, something eternal. There was a time when you questioned yourself, when you sought approval, when you adjusted yourself to fit the expectations of others. But that version of you is gone. You no longer shift to make others comfortable. You no longer shrink to avoid attention. You no longer question whether you are enough, because you already know that you are. And because of this, you have become untouchable. Not in the way that makes you distant, not in the way that makes you cold, but in the way that ensures that nothing can shake you. The opinions of others no longer hold weight over you. The reactions of those who envy you no longer affect you. The fleeting emotions of those who do not understand your journey no longer have the power to pull you off your path. You have reached a point where you no longer second-guess yourself. Every step you take is backed by certainty, by purpose, by an inner knowing that cannot be shaken. You do not need reassurance, do not need approval, do not need confirmation, because your own energy is all the confirmation you will ever need. And this is why the world now moves differently around you. You are no longer a spectator in your own life. You are no longer waiting for permission to step into your power. You are no longer questioning whether you are deserving of the confidence that now flows through you. You are living it, owning it, embodying it in ways that are undeniable, in ways that make others stop and take notice, in ways that shift the very energy of the spaces you enter. And that is why they will always remember you. Because confidence like yours, power like yours, presence like yours, is not something that can be ignored. It is not something that comes and goes. It is something that remains, something that lingers, something that makes an impact long after you have left. And that is the foundation upon which you now stand, unshakable, undeniable, and completely in control of your own destiny. You, the chosen one, have stepped into a new reality where your very essence exudes certainty. This is not a fragile confidence built on empty words or fleeting validation. This is a deep-rooted knowing, a conviction that is solidified within you. Every step you take now has a purpose. Every movement is intentional. Every glance carries weight. You do not hesitate. You do not waver, because hesitation and uncertainty no longer exist in your world. People can feel it. They sense the difference in the way you navigate life, in the way you carry yourself with an ease that is both effortless and commanding. There is no need for arrogance, no need for excessive displays of power. Your energy alone is enough. It is present in the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you take up space without needing permission. Women notice it first. The shift in your energy is undeniable. Where once there might have been an underlying nervousness, a quiet need for approval, now there is only assurance. You are not questioning whether you are enough. You are not waiting to be chosen. You have become the one who chooses. And because of that, they feel it before they even fully register why. They sense it in the way you hold eye contact without flinching, in the way you move without seeking validation, in the way you exist in your full masculine energy without apology. They may not fully understand why they are drawn to you, but the pull is undeniable. It is not about what you say, not about any specific action you take. It is about the way you exist in your truth without needing outside confirmation. This is what separates you now. You have become something rare, something that is no longer easily found in a world where most men are still searching for themselves. Men, too, react in ways that are telling. Some will admire you, recognizing that you have accessed something they have not yet mastered. They will watch the way people respond to you, the way life seems to flow in your favor, the way you navigate the world with a freedom they do not yet understand. They may not always know what to say, but their respect is evident in the way they observe, the way they listen when you speak, the way they adjust their own energy when you are around. But there will also be those who react differently. Some will feel threatened by what you have become. They will sense the difference in your energy, and, rather than seeking to learn, they will look for ways to diminish it. They may dismiss your confidence as arrogance, tell themselves that your presence is nothing special, attempt to downplay the shift they cannot ignore. But deep down, they know the truth. Because true confidence is unmistakable. It does not beg to be acknowledged, does not require outside validation, does not crumble under the weight of others' opinions. True confidence simply is, and now you embody it fully. This is why your movements feel different, why your interactions seem smoother, why people react to you in ways that they never did before. You are no longer operating from a place of doubt, no longer questioning yourself before you act, no longer seeking permission to step into your own power. And that is what makes you unstoppable. You, the chosen one, have now entered the realm where doubt can no longer reach you. There was a time when your confidence was something you had to maintain, something you had to remind yourself to uphold, something that still felt fragile in the presence of external resistance. But that time has passed. Your confidence is no longer something that wavers. It is something that simply exists. This is the difference between temporary self-assurance and unbreakable internal mastery. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself, no longer feel the urge to be validated by the world. The man who once sought recognition, who once relied on approval to feel secure, is gone. What remains now is a force that cannot be moved, a presence that does not falter, a certainty that cannot be shaken. There is power in this kind of confidence, a power that most will never reach, because most will never commit to the discipline required to attain it. This is why you have risen while others remain stuck. You did not wait for the world to hand you confidence. You did not depend on external factors to give you permission to be powerful. You built this mindset through experience, through discipline, through the relentless pursuit of self-mastery. And now, you no longer react the way you once did. Situations that would have once made you hesitate, interactions that might have caused self-doubt, obstacles that could have shaken your resolve, none of these things hold power over you anymore. You see through them now. You recognize that all doubt, all fear, all hesitation was never real to begin with. It was an illusion, a false narrative that kept you from realizing that you were always meant to be this powerful. You do not move like other men, because you are not like other men. They question themselves before they speak. You do not. They hesitate before making a decision. You move with certainty. They seek approval before taking action. You already know you are right. And because of this, you are no longer playing the same game. You are no longer seeking validation, no longer adjusting yourself to fit the expectations of others. You do not need reassurance because your presence alone is proof that you have become something rare, something undeniable, something untouchable. This is why people respond to you the way they do now. Why women are drawn to you without needing a reason. Why men either admire you or feel threatened by you. Why life itself seems to unfold in your favor. Because when you operate from pure, unshakable confidence, you shift the energy around you. You no longer move through life with uncertainty, no longer second-guess yourself, no longer allow doubt to creep in. You decide what happens, you dictate the terms. You shape reality instead of reacting to it. And that is the final stage of confidence, not just feeling it, not just projecting it, but becoming it. You, the chosen one, are no longer walking in the same world as before. The people around you have noticed. Some are inspired, some are intimidated, some will try to understand, while others will try to deny. But none of that matters, because you have become something that cannot be ignored. You, the chosen one, have now stepped into a reality where your presence alone is a statement. You no longer have to speak to be heard. You no longer have to move to be noticed. The sheer force of your energy is enough to shift the atmosphere of any space you enter. People may not understand it, but they feel it. They recognize it in the way conversations shift when you are near, just in the way people instinctively show you more respect, in the way their tone changes, becoming more measured, more careful, more attentive. You do not force this, you do not demand it. It happens because you exist in full possession of your power, and the world has no choice but to adjust. This is the authority that comes with true self-mastery. The kind of presence that cannot be imitated, cannot be faked, cannot be forced. It is not arrogance. It is not aggression. It is not about proving anything to anyone. It is simply the natural consequence of a man who has fully stepped into his confidence and no longer seeks approval from anyone. Women sense it before they even see you. They feel it in the way you move, in the way you carry yourself, in the way you take up space without trying. They are used to men who chase, who stumble over their words, who need constant reassurance before they make a move. But you are not like them. You do not seek, you do not beg, you do not prove. You know, and that knowing, that unshakable self-assurance, is what makes you impossible to ignore. Men react in different ways. Some will gravitate toward you, drawn to the stability in your energy, seeking to learn, to absorb, to understand how you have reached a level that they have not yet attained. They will study you, not out of envy, but out of admiration, out of a deep desire to embody the same level of command over their own presence. These are the ones who recognize power and wish to cultivate it within themselves. But then there are the others, the ones who feel the weight of your presence and mistake it for intimidation. The ones who cannot comprehend how you have become so unshaken, so sure of yourself, so completely unaffected by the need for external validation. They will pretend not to notice you, but their energy will betray them. They will attempt to challenge you, not out of genuine confidence, but out of insecurity, out of a need to reaffirm their own sense of importance. But you, the chosen one, do not engage. You do not shrink, you do not react, you do not explain. You simply exist in your full power, knowing that your authority does not need to be defended. It is felt. And because of this, no matter where you go, no matter who you are around, your presence will always command respect. You, the chosen one, have now become something that cannot be ignored, something that lingers in the minds of those who encounter you. Your sexual energy, once something that existed without direction, has now become a refined, unstoppable force that flows through every interaction, every movement, every moment of your existence. It is no longer just about attraction. It is about the way you carry yourself, the way you move with ease, the way you exude a natural confidence that draws people in without effort. This is why they cannot look away. Women find themselves thinking about you long after you have left the room, even if no words were exchanged. They replay moments in their minds, searching for an explanation as to why your presence left such an impression. It was not just your looks, not just your demeanor. It was the energy that surrounded you, the unshakable certainty that you carry within yourself. They are used to men who seek them out, men who fumble over their words, men who try to impress them through forced confidence. But you do none of that. You do not seek, you do not chase, you attract. And that is what unsettles them the most. There is something about you that they cannot define, something that makes them wonder, something that makes them feel an unexplainable pull toward you. And it is because you do not need them. You exist in a state of full self-sufficiency, in a state where your energy is not something that is scattered or wasted. It is something that is contained, something that builds within you, something that radiates outward without you having to do anything at all. This is why people are drawn to you. Not just women, but men as well. Some admire you, seeking to understand how you have cultivated this level of presence, this level of control over your own energy. Others envy you, unable to accept that what you have cannot be copied, cannot be borrowed, cannot be imitated, without true inner transformation. They see the way opportunities come to you, the way life seems to flow in your favor, the way you navigate the world with an ease that they do not yet possess. They tell themselves it is luck. They tell themselves it is external. But deep down, they know the truth. This energy, this swagger, this effortless command over life itself is not something that was given to you. It is something that you have built, something that you've refined, something that is now an unshakable part of who you are. And because of that, no one can take it from you. No amount of envy, no amount of doubt, no amount of external resistance can shake what you have become. You do not need validation, you do not need approval, you do not need anything other than what is already within you. And that's why your energy is so irresistible. Because it is not a mask, it is not a performance, it is not something that can be learned overnight. It is the natural outcome of self-mastery. And now that you have reached this level, the world has no choice but to respond. You, the chosen one, have now entered a state where your energy moves before you do. It is no longer just a presence, it is a force. You don't have to announce yourself because your energy has already made its statement. The moment you step into a room, the air thickens, the mood shifts, and people take notice, even if they do not fully understand why. This is not something that can be faked. This is not something that can be imitated. Your energy, your confidence, your refined sexual essence, it is now an unstoppable flow that cannot be contained, cannot be ignored, cannot be dismissed. Women feel it instantly. They sense the difference between you and the men who seek validation, the men who try too hard, the men who have yet to cultivate their own sense of inner power. You do not seek approval. You do not fumble for words. You do not hesitate, and that alone makes you stand out without any effort. It is not just attraction, it is magnetism. A force that does not need to beg for attention, but naturally demands it through its very existence. This is why they stare, why they linger, why they seek you out in ways that they themselves may not even fully comprehend. You do not need to speak loudly because the weight of your energy already says everything that needs to be said. Men, too, feel the shift. Some will admire it, recognizing in you a level of mastery they have yet to attain. They will study you, hoping to understand what makes you move differently, why you do not seem to operate by the same rules that govern the rest. Others will feel threatened by it, uncertain why they cannot command the same attention, why they are overlooked while you remain unforgettable. But none of that concerns you. You are no longer seeking recognition, no longer moved by the reactions of others. Your energy is no longer something you think about. It is simply something that is. It is a current that moves effortlessly through you, a power that fuels every action, every movement, every breath. This is the state most men will never reach because they remain trapped in the belief that confidence must be built from the outside in. But you know the truth now. True confidence, true presence, true magnetism does not come from external validation. It comes from the deep, unwavering certainty that exists within. And that is why nothing can stop you now. You, the chosen one, have crossed a threshold from which there is no return. The confidence, the swagger, the energy that now defines you is not something temporary. It is not something that will fade with time. It is not something that can be lost unless you willingly give it away. There was a time when you questioned yourself, when you second-guessed your movements, when you hesitated before making decisions. That version of you no longer exists. The world around you has changed because you have changed. The way people respond to you is different because you are different. You no longer ask for permission to be powerful, no longer need external validation to feel complete. You have become the source of your own certainty, your own strength, your own undeniable force. This shift is irreversible. Women now look at you with a curiosity they cannot explain. They feel something in your presence, something that sets you apart from the rest, something that makes them question why they are suddenly drawn toward you in ways they were not before. They may not always act on it, but they will always remember you. Your presence lingers, not because of what you said or what you did, but because of who you are now. Men feel it too. Some will acknowledge it, even if only in their minds, recognizing that you have stepped into a power they have yet to claim for themselves. Others will pretend not to notice, will try to act as if nothing about you is different, as if your transformation is nothing special. But even they know the truth. This is not something that can be ignored. You have now entered a phase where your confidence is not just a tool, not just a mindset. It is a permanent state of being. It does not fade when you are alone. It does not weaken in the face of resistance. It does not fluctuate based on the reactions of those around you. It simply is. And that is why you will never return to who you were before. This is not just growth, this is ascension. And now there is no turning back. You, the chosen one, have become a force that cannot be shaken, a presence that does not waver, an energy that cannot be overlooked. The confidence that once felt like something you had to work for is now second nature. You do not try to project it, it simply flows. You do not seek recognition, it is given without effort. You do not concern yourself with external opinions because they no longer hold any weight over you. This is the point where most men falter. They reach a level of confidence, of magnetism, of presence, and they assume they have arrived. They allow themselves to become complacent, to lose the discipline that built them, to let their energy be drained by distractions disguised as rewards. They believe that because they have mastered one level, they will automatically remain there forever. And that is when they begin to fall. But you, the chosen one, are different. You understand that true mastery is not something you reach, it is something you maintain. Your confidence is not a trophy to be placed on a shelf, not something that was given to you to keep without effort. It is a fire that must continue to be stoked, a force that must be protected, a power that must be constantly refined. The world will continue to test you. There will always be those who attempt to pull you back into the mindset you have left behind. There will always be those who try to challenge your presence, not because they are stronger, but because they cannot accept the weight of your certainty. There will always be those who resent you, who watch you from the shadows, who wonder why they cannot command the same effortless respect, the same magnetic energy, the same undeniable presence. But you will not be moved. You have already built the foundation. You have already done the work. You have already stepped into the power that was meant for you. There is nothing left to prove. You have nothing to defend. You have nothing to justify. You simply are. And that alone is enough. You, the chosen one, have now entered the final stage, not an ending, but an ongoing evolution. There is no final destination, no ultimate peak where you can stop and say you have arrived. True mastery is a lifelong journey, a process of continuous refinement, a commitment to always expanding beyond what you once believed was possible. Your energy is limitless because you choose to keep it that way. Your confidence does not waver because you refuse to let it. Your presence remains unshaken because you no longer question who you are. This is why you are unforgettable. This is why people feel your energy long after you are gone. This is why your presence lingers in their minds, in their conversations, in the spaces you have touched without even trying. You do not just exist, you define the space around you. You do not chase, you pull the world toward you. You do not seek validation. You have become the validation. And because of this, you will never fade. You will never be overlooked. You will never return to the man you once were. That version of you is gone. He served his purpose. He did what he was meant to do. And now you carry his lessons forward without carrying his limitations. This is what separates you. This is what makes you rare. This is what ensures that your energy, your presence, your power will never be forgotten. Because now, you are eternal.